Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. Welcome back. You are listening to the Mariam Mukunda show on Sanam Media. So it is time for our marriage segment, and today we are talking about the signs that you need to look for when and if your marriage needs counseling. Uh, Joining me to discuss this further is Anisa Musa, who is a social worker at Islamic Care Line. So we all believe that we're getting the fairy tale when we get married, right? I mean, that's what we have been sold. The soapies that we watch, the TV shows that we watch, the movies that we watch, the stories we were told as young kids. We were sold this fairy tale ideology. But what the fairy tale didn't tell us is that relationships are hard work and they need work. We need to keep on working on them day in and day out. What they only show you is the happily ever after. They don't show you what comes next after the happily ever after. And in real life, happily ever afters only come with the hard work that you put in. So joining me on the line right now is Anisa Musa. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Anisa.
Walaikum salam to you, Sister Mariam. It's been forever and ever and ever. And to all the listeners out there, again, it's been a long time. I know with this whole situation, let's put it to you that way, we've all been dealing with a lot of restrictions. And so, inshallah, hoping that we'll get more opportunities like this to come on air and touch base with the listeners. Very nice intro, I must say. When I heard the fairy tale concept, yes, there's a lot of young people, I think, um, who grow up believing that marriage is a fairy tale. I wish it
Mm,
were. I'm an optimist at heart, still a romantic at heart, in spite of everything. I still do believe that, Allah has granted us marriage as a gift, and surely if it was a gift, and it is, it can be something that brings a great deal of happiness, fulfillment, and joy. But like you say, with the fairy tale, there's the element of reality.
mm.
Lots of factors that would influence that, and maybe we can so let's see how much we can unpack in the program today.
Yes, Alhamdulillah. And shukran for joining me. It has been a while, but it's glad to have you back for now. So first of all, how does one know if their marriage is worth saving?
I think one of the things to bear in mind is, they say that, and with anything, whether it's a job, whether it's a friendship, whether it's any relationship, any setting, there's a few things that apply across the board. The one is that you're going to have the positives with the negatives. And we all know also when we have a friendship, sometimes we have friendships and we know our friends' weakness or growth areas. There's certain things about our friends that we don't necessarily like or approve of, and that. But we look at, we got to weigh the pros and cons, and we look at what does this relationship bring to my life,
Mm,
and look at the positives and say, okay, fine, this person's got faults, but I value the fact that when I need this person, they'll be there for me. And so my point is this, that we got to first of all accept people for who they are, right? We don't,
mm,
and again, when you were speaking about the fairy tale, the word that came to mind for me was expectations,
yeah.
because when we talk about fairy tale, we have this maybe idealistic expectation. I remember also, when we used to talk about the honeymoon phase, and especially young couples are under the impression that, if I'm not happy in the first few months of my marriage, I'm never going to be happy. But
Hmm.
the very important part about that honeymoon phase is that it's a huge adjustment period. And so both people, no matter how similar or different their dynamics, their backgrounds, even their compatibility may be, there's always an element of adjustment. Priorities need to be shifted. You've got to understand that
Mm,
there's two people's lives that are coming together, and so there's going to have to be areas of compromise. And again, it's not about sacrificing, it's about compromise so that both people can find a middle ground. In my personal opinion, is that there's nothing that you can't the two people can't negotiate on if they really want to, unless obviously we're talking about severe domestic violence or substance abuse. And so those extenuating circumstances. But beyond that, I think the other things can be negotiated. So coming back to your question, when we talk about marriages, I think one thing is expectations. The other
Mm-hmm.
is open communication. And also, more and more, we've been bringing in the element of self awareness. Simply because, we say marriage is based on understanding and compromise. But how do you understand your partner when a lot of us have difficulty understanding who we are? Unfortunately, we're living in a very complex society. As the years are going by, is the spin off of generational dynamics going from one generation into another, one family into another. And so the complexities of one family is being carried over into the next generation. So I might come from a family where there's breakdown. Um, so I'm looking forward to my marriage. So, when we talk about healthy relationships, we need to start from a preventative level as well, and we need to start working. I know I've sidetracked and thrown a lot of things in, but I was just speaking from whatever came up as I was going along, and I hope you don't mind.
Mhm. No, that's fine. I prefer if you sidetrack and just touch on other points I may not already have questions for. Now, what are the signs that we should look out for, be aware of, to know if one's marriage would need counseling or not?
Okay, so yes, so sorry. So in terms of that, the one, like I said, okay, you got to weigh and see. You have to ask yourself, okay, so how important is this relationship for me? Are the pros and the cons there? But a few of the things is here, our expectations has that been cleared? Is our communication effective? And I think it's a process because what happens is sometimes you get married, right? Now you're thinking, okay, fine, we've got a few issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you try to address it amongst yourself, right? If eventually you feel like, okay, it's not getting better, it's just getting worse, and we need help, right? Then you've got to recognize what kind of help you need. So you might decide that, okay, first we'd like to approach someone within the family, someone that we know, keep it within, you want to keep it contained and discreet, and that's fine, right? And then if still maybe that doesn't help, and then you realize, okay, fine, you know what, this is not working. We need to be seeking outside help. But like I said, the goods have to outweigh the bads. We all, and Mariam, I think we can agree that no relationship is perfect, right?
Yeah.
And so, yes, is not to say that even you can be in a happy marriage as well. But that's not to say you're not going to have arguments, you're not going to have disagreements, you're not going to have areas of dispute as well, right? Areas of conflict. You adjust, you make do sometimes. I remember one woman said to me, someone that I met through work, and she said to me, she said, I have lots of resentments through my marriage, but I know that I am where I should be.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that said, okay, fine. I've come to a place where I can't see myself anywhere else, not because I want to be anywhere else or because I don't want to be anywhere else, but I'm satisfied with the place that I'm at, in spite of all the shortcomings. So, again, going back to your question, when do you recognize what are the signs? If your communication is broken down, commitment is another thing. If you have opposite expectations. So those are some of the themes that we usually look at when we're trying to address couples. The other thing is also it varies from couple to couple, right? Everything varies. And I always say that different people have different outlooks on what could work in my relationship. Two people are working, we have hectic lifestyles. Wife could be working in corporate, but when they come home, they balance, they have a good sense of their roles and responsibilities. But it may not work for another couple. So,
Mm-hmm.
but But again, it's about when the two people in that relationship recognize that we are not happy and we want something different for ourselves. And I'm not talking about I want out, I'm talking about we want the relationship to look different. And again, that's a complexity because you get couples where the one person can't see that there's an issue.
Yeah.
Okay. The other person will say, but I'm not happy about a whole lot of things. So
Mm-hmm.
here is a simple answer. I think for me, it's a process. It's a process when one or both people recognize that for whatever reason they're not happy and that they've tried other things and now they've reached a place where they feel they can't do it on their own. That would
Mm-hmm.
be the place to stay. It could stem from behavior, it could stem from feelings, it could stem from outlook, it could stem from your goals. So again, and then also if you look at the different areas of the relationship, whether it
Mm-hmm.
stems from roles and responsibilities, whether it stems from the communication, whether it stems from your inability, and usually a lot of the time it stems from, and no matter what the issues are, people struggle to effectively resolve their conflict. And that sometimes would be the reason that they would go for interventions because they can't seem to resolve their issues on their own.
Mm-hmm. And some people have this mindset that if it's not broken, don't fix it, which is why they would choose not to go for counseling. And really, if something has a crack, why not fix the crack before it actually breaks instead of waiting for it to be broken?
I think again, it also depends on severity. I mean, look, for example, you get the continuum. If I'm having small little stuff, I don't need to run to a counselor for every little thing, right?
Yeah.
Um, obviously, if the magnitude of it is affecting our relationship on a regular basis, where our communication is completely broken down,
Mm-hmm.
we can't go through day to day routines or life or practices without fighting. We don't want to be with the person. We don't want to spend time with the person. So your basic elements of companionship no
Mm-hmm.
longer exist. Then at some point you recognize that you know what, this is something, and then also again, it still also needs the expectations. It's like like for counseling, take for example counseling, right? I could say, okay, fine, I have issues with my mother-in-law, let's say for example, right? Well, I could come for counseling and be quite satisfied with the fact that I changed my approach to dealing with her, and it's quite okay that we don't have a mother-daughter relationship and that we just amicable. But for somebody else, it could mean no, I want a better relationship with my mother-in-law. I want her to look at me as her daughter. So the expectation then goes beyond. So one person could be very, very satisfied with the relationship where I have someone I come home to, I have children with them, um, to contribute to the household, whatever in whatever form, materially or otherwise, and we get by. And that's satisfactory for me. And then you would get someone else, obviously, who wants that amazing relationship where we do everything together. And we so again, it's also about outlook, and this is why so importantly, marital interventions are necessary, especially in today's times, because um, the dynamics are so varied. There's so many opportunities out there. So
Mm-hmm.
two people sit together and work on what their expectations are. Because often what happens is, and that again comes to two things: communication and expectations. I have expectations, I need to communicate them.
Mhm. Now, what about in a situation whereby the couple is living separately? Like, for example, now during the lockdown, a couple is living separately. The husband is one place and the wife is one place with the children. There's hardly any communication, etc. So, in that instance, what should be done? What needs to be done?
Okay, so you're talking about instances where the couple doesn't have a choice, it's circumstantial.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. I think whatever the reason, whether it's by choice or not, and obviously if it's by choice, then there's other things that we need to be looking at, right? But if it's circumstantial, again, I think the same thing applies in the sense that whether you're living together or you're living apart, there has to be elements like commitment, trust, respect, um, making that, like you said at the beginning, it takes work. I can't just say, okay, fine, you know what? But I also say, you have to make the effort to make your relationship work, but it shouldn't be burdensome for you. It shouldn't be a chore, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's with anything in life, whether it's a job again, relationships are based on mutual responsibility. And I think it's important that, okay, if you are loving apart, it doesn't mean that the first person is not physically present, that they don't exist. I think it's important that they make arrangements or make that added effort to have opportunities to work together on different things. So, I mean, we're so blessed with advanced technology, right?
Mm-hmm.
Skype, Zoom, there's WhatsApp video calls. There's so many ways that two people can communicate with each other. So if the one person's living with the children, and the other one isn't. There's two elements there. There's the parental role, there's the marital role. There should be communication on both of them. There should be consultation. The fact that you're living apart means you have more to talk about. Wouldn't you say? I mean, like if you're living together in the household, yes, sometimes we all get caught up in our routines. But yeah, you're living apart. So you have more to chat about. You can talk to each other about different things. But again, it has to be the time that you invest in your relationship. You have to make a relationship. And there's another image that I like to use. If the listeners can just be with me, if you have a visual and you have three circles. The one circle is marked wife, the other circle is marked husband, and the third circle is marked the marriage. So it's not what you're giving to each other necessarily, it's also what you're feeding your marriage with. And that I think is something that couples need to remember is that it's not about you, it's not about me, it's about what kind of a relationship we want and what is it that we're putting into that circle that makes this marriage workable. So again, these challenges with people living apart, and I think that the sad thing also is that you find, since you brought up the example about living apart, is that when we live together, we can't seem to get along, and that's the sad thing. And then when you're living apart, does that help it or does it make it worse? Do we realize that we're not being grateful for what we have or does it make it so I think also the emotion that goes with it. Do I feel relieved when I'm away from my partner or do I feel sad? And that will also be another indication as to where my heart is and where what I feel about this relationship.
Mm-hmm. And what if it's two stubborn people who just feel like, you know what, you can live your apart and let's just live apart and live our own lives, but we'll still be married.
For me personally, okay, so now we're talking about the by choice scenario, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, is it just about convenience? But also, what are the long term implications of a relationship of convenience? Am I robbing myself or my partner of a full life? And what is it? Okay, even if it's about convenience, what am I getting through that arrangement? Again, there are people who live with all kinds of arrangements. You do get that, right? If it's working
Mm-hmm.
for both, it works for both people. But are they, again, then, are they fulfilling their roles, their responsibilities? What is the quality of their relationship? So those are all the questions that they need to be asking when they choose to live apart. Um, and how does it fit into their life? Because marriage also is about fulfilling a certain needs. Are those needs
Mm-hmm.
being fulfilled in this separate relationship?
Mm-hmm.
Or let's just say that and people are living separately.
Mm-hmm. All right, Anissa. So, lastly, I'd like to know how long should you wait before going for counseling?
How long should you wait? Okay, so I think the minute you recognize that you're not happy or your partner is not happy, right? Seek help, right? Try to address it. The first, like I said again, I'm going to go to that process. First, acknowledge or recognize that there's a problem, right? Once you've done that, the two of you need to explore what you're comfortable with. One partner, we often get where one partner wants to go for counseling, the other person doesn't want to go for counseling. So fine,
Yes.
it doesn't have to be counseling. So, but the important thing is the two people needs to agree on who's going to intervene, what kind of intervention that they want. If there is a
Mm-hmm.
disagreement, then they need to sit down and work through it. With marital counseling, okay, so we can even do individual supportive work with one of them until the other one is ready. We also sometimes, if a person is not willing to come in, then we would allow, I mean, we would offer them a telephonic session just to um, give them options and to help them feel a little bit better or comfortable with the idea of counseling if coming in the first session is a little bit daunting. Alhamdulillah, I must say in the recent times we've had more and more people who are willing to come for counseling. But when one of the person says, I don't want to go for counseling, that also says a lot about their
Mm-hmm.
commitment, about how they feel about wanting to improve their relationship. So it's always a good thing that two people are on the same page. But if there is a problem, I would say as soon as possible is best. Because remember that while you're still delaying it, the problem is in a way getting worse.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. All right. Shukran so much for your time, Anissa, and hopefully we can chat again soon.
Inshallah, I'm hoping that maybe with this program we can build on it and move forward with more programs like this.
Inshallah. Ameen. Have a wonderful day. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam to you and to all the listeners, Sister Miriam.
As Anissa Musa, social worker at Islamic Care Line, discussing how to know if your marriage needs counseling. Well, there are so many signs that you can look out for, but like Anissa mentioned, that weigh out the pros and the cons, write them down, write down what you feel is good about your marriage, and write down what you feel is not so great about it. And well, the pros, if the pros are not outweighing the cons, then that should be a good enough indication that you need counseling. And it should also be a mutual agreement between the two of you. Maybe you may only see the problem, and who knows, the problem might just be you that you seeing the problem. But if you're the problem, then at least you can go and seek help for yourself and sort yourself out. And uh, hopefully, once you are fixed, then your partner can also get themselves fixed. And the two of you can work on fixing the marriage and the relationship in order to have a happy home, happy household. Because think about the kids also, if there are any kids there, think about what you are feeding them. They're going to grow up thinking that this is what a marriage is supposed to be like, and that's not what we want them to see in the marriage. So, if you have any comments or questions for Anissa, you may leave them in the comment section below. You can send them to our WhatsApp. The number is 0617 660 355. Do stay with us. We will be right back after the break.